Just a little disclaimer before we get started. This video will contain plot spoilers for Glass Onion, so proceed at your own discretion.
The views on my channel are off the charts. You gotta see this.
Hi, I'm LadyJenevia. My first Glass Onion review has now become my most viewed video on my channel. At the time of recording this, it has just cracked 200,000 views, and that is absolutely wild. I never could have or would have anticipated that video doing that well, considering how rushed I was when writing and filming and editing it. I cannot emphasize enough how rushed I was when throwing that thing together. But thank you to everyone who has watched that video, as well as my follow-up comparing Glass Onion and Knives Out, and my old 4-part video essay about Knives Out. That was a wonderful way to end 2022. One of the many new comments I have seen coming in with all of this new attention on my discussions of Rian Johnson's whodunits was about one of the cameos in Glass Onion. Of course, there have been plenty of discussions about the Glass Onion cameos, particularly for the late great Angela Lansbury and Stephen Sondheim. But the cameo I want to focus on is Yo-Yo Ma, the famed cellist. This man has been out here performing for the masses and the rich and the famous since the Kennedy administration. 60 years later, and the Kennedy files still have not been declassified, but Yo-Yo Ma is still performing all over the world, including at the opening of a new JFK exhibition at the John F. Kennedy Library. I myself have also seen him perform live, though not at that event. I mentioned in my first Glass Onion review how I was pleasantly surprised to see Yo-Yo Ma make an appearance in this film. It's certainly not a cameo I ever would have predicted to happen. And then I received this comment, which prompted me to circle back around and talk a little bit more about his cameo and the information he shares while making his appearance. When we are first introduced to the main ensemble of leads in this new whodunit, we jump around from one location to another as they have yet to be reunited for their boat ride to Miles Bronze's island. In shifting to Birdie's luxurious abode, where we meet both Birdie and Peg, we also see the arrival of Birdie's mystery box. Of course, neither one of them is capable of getting the box open, as they have neither the true spirit of disruption of Helen, nor the masterful puzzle-solving skills of Ma Cody.
My mom already broke it.
It's a stereogram.
She did something to it, it opened up. I don't know, she broke it.
Stereogram.
But teamwork helps this group of pawns, who are all too willing to play Miles Bronze's games, to work their way through each step towards the Glass Onion at the center. Along the way, we come across a music box. Enter Yo-Yo Ma.
Enter Benoit Blanc.
Who better to identify a piece of classical music than Yo-Yo Ma?
Hey, this is Bach's Little Fugue in G minor.
You sure?
Yeah.
Bach's Little Fugue in G minor. That's an answer that a Shazam might have been able to provide if Birdie had actually asked Shazam instead of a lamp.
Alexa, Shazam the song, please.
A few moments later.
This can't Shazam, it's a lamp.
But Shazam would not have been able to provide the clarification of what a fugue is and how it's relevant to the journey of solving this puzzle box. Furthermore, this fugue is interwoven into the larger story of Glass Onion, as the story itself follows the structural development of a fugue. So what is a fugue?
A fugue is a beautiful musical puzzle based on just one tune. And when you layer this tune on top of itself, it starts to change and turns into a beautiful new structure.
This is the key to understanding the structure of Glass Onion. For all the complaints I've heard about information being repeated in the story or presented more than once, of false claims that the canon itself is being rewritten, Bach's Little Fugue in G minor has the answer to not only Miles Bronze's outsourced mystery box, but Rian Johnson's Glass Onion. Bach's Little Fugue in G minor is not introduced for the first time at Birdie's apartment. The first time we hear it is even earlier, at the very beginning of the film. We see a black screen and the core melody played on just a piano at an unhurried tempo. And so we are introduced to the first layer of this tune, and the story plays out with a window only showing us part of the larger picture that we will come to know. The music box presentation of the song is there to show that the song, and the fact that it is a fugue, is a clue to understanding the story at large. The song doesn't return until about an hour later, after Andy is shot by an unseen killer. The lights come back on to show her covered in blood. Benoit Blanc is shedding a tear, and the party attendees gather round to look on in horror at yet another unexpected dead body at this murder mystery party. Benoit Blanc rounds everyone up and brings them back inside the Glass Onion and tells them,
Only one person can tell us who killed Cassandra Brand.
And the screen cuts to black. Once again, we hear Bach's Little Fugue in G minor, but this time the melody has been layered, so we hear far more of the composition than what was presented at the very beginning of the story.
Well, get down, would you? You're not in the bath again, are you?
And right from there, we get introduced to a previously unknown major player in this mystery, Helen Brand, the twin sister of Andy. Andy has been dead for the entire chunk of the story that we've just watched. And following the long and thorough introduction of Helen on Blanc's balcony, we get to see many of the same events we already saw, but with more information layered on top of itself. The tune, or the story, as we knew it, starts to change and turns into a beautiful new structure. Now again, I have to reiterate, because not everyone seems to have understood this, but much of what gets revealed in this second act, the second layer of the Glass Onion fugue, was already there in the first act. The key is merely that a lot of us didn't notice certain details the first time around, or we disregarded them for any number of reasons. Birdie's bag rustling when Helen threw her recording device in.
There was a time, back when I was the one on magazines. He was nobody. I was the one on magazines. There was a time, back when I was the one on magazines. He was nobody.
Benoit Blanc calling Helen by her name not long before she was shot at.
Helen!
There's something poetic about the idea of how many people will jump to conclusions without getting all of the information first. Perhaps it's a stretch to make this comparison, but I think of it as being like the algorithmic pressures to be first instead of being true in reporting news stories. Even myself, as someone who creates videos for YouTube, I feel pressured to be faster in what I post when I know for a fact that the finished result of what I create would be better in quality if I were to wait just a little bit longer and take a little bit more time at any number of the stages of the creative process. But let me buttress my feelings on that topic.
Buttress those feelings now. Buttress them.
And resume the discussion at hand. Just as Lionel pulled the center wheel of the puzzle box and the whole structure changed to reveal a new layer, as well as new puzzles to solve, so too does the Glass Onion fugue when Bach's Little Fugue in G minor returns to play. What composer Nathan Johnson brilliantly does to build off this fugue concept in the film's scoring is he uses harpsichord to expand on Bach's Little Fugue in G minor to musically signal to the audience when we have reached significant turning points or milestones in the story. One such example of this is when we see Helen shot for the second time. The first time we thought it was Andy, the second time we know who this really is. This time around, the fugue is even more densely layered. There's harpsichord. It feels more frantic, which perfectly matches the panic we feel at watching our heroine being shot. But with the return of the fugue, we get more layering added to the Glass Onion story, with a swift reveal that Helen is not dead. The notebook she's been carrying around has saved her, and she can continue her quest for justice for her sister. And now we have reached the final push, which will bring us the grand reveal that is customary for a great whodunit. And perhaps even more satisfying than that, the emotional catharsis of Helen being a true disruptor in every sense of the word. This group of devious, corrupt individuals can try to act like she's crazy, but as far as I'm concerned, she's the only one with any sense in that group of people, besides Benoit Blanc, of course. But he can't get involved like that.
If you want to shake things up, you start with something small. You go with things that people are kind of tired of anyway. Everybody gets excited because you're busting up something that everyone wanted broken in the first place. That's the infraction point. That's the place where you have to look within yourself and ask, am I the kind of person who will keep going? Will you break more things? Break bigger things? Are you willing to break the thing that nobody wants you to break? Because at that point, people are not going to be on your side. They're going to call you crazy. They're going to say you're a bully. They're going to tell you to stop. Even your partner will say, you need to stop.
Okay, stop! Stop. Enough.
Because as it turns out, nobody wants you to break the system itself. But that is what true disruption is. And that is what unites all of us. We all got to that line and crossed it.
And after she has blown up the glass onion, exposed the Mona Lisa to Miles Bronze's highly explosive new fuel source, Clear.
I call it Clear with a K.
Miles Braun is an idiot.
When Helen is walking away from the remnants of her going full-on scorched earth, just as those people deserved, with it winding down momentarily before swelling up once more as we see that the cops are coming, and Helen Brand is once more affirmed as the new Mona Lisa. I loved the use of Bach's Little Fugue in G minor for scoring purposes, as well as being a tool for better understanding the storytelling structure of Glass Onion, and that Yo-Yo Ma was the one to deliver that information. This aspect of the film is one of the many details that have been really fun to discover and better understand and appreciate the more that I have rewatched Glass Onion. I understood this detail when I did my multiple viewings at the cinema, but it's also been terrific fun to have so many different people with their own perspectives and experiences coming to share more of the details they discovered during their rewatches in my comment section of that first Glass Onion video, or even other videos of mine about Rian Johnson's whodunits. I think that one of the reasons why these films are as successful as they've been is because of this multi-layered approach to the storytelling. At the most superficial level, they can be effective in entertaining a general audience who is not going to rewatch a movie a bunch of times to look for more details to appreciate in the script, the editing, or any other technical aspect. There's the star-studded cast, the humor, the emotional catharsis that comes at the end, and just the general drama of it all. But with there being so many clues and details crammed into the storytelling structure, such as being modeled in the same way as a fugue, the production design, such as the book that Andy's napkin was found in, the character names, Helen and Cassandra, and the mythological origins of those names. The list goes on and on. These details lend themselves extremely well to rewatchability and to the people who like to closely inspect a film, one frame at a time. Glass Onion is a film that doesn't talk down to its audience, but can still captivate them even if they come from a wide array of perspectives and movie viewing habits. I don't know yet how much I will revisit these films when choosing video topics until the third one comes out, whenever that might be. But I figured at the very least I should revisit the Yo-Yo Ma cameo if that commenter really was correct in their assessment that not as many people were recognizing him when he appeared. If that were true, then perhaps they might have also missed the role of Bach's Little Fugue in G minor in the story and its structure.
You sure?
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching. My January output might be a little bit slower because I have a larger video project I would really like to work on, and January seems like the best month to have the time to actually work on that. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you even more if you decide to stick around. See you in the next one. Bye. Bye.